All right, here we're gonna do the drag master upgrade to Okuma Cold Water Series 553 LS. Got the Okuma Drag Master carbon fiber drag washers. Tools you're gonna need. I use a #1 Phillips screwdriver. I don't know, I call them terminating screwdrivers, but a little flathead screwdriver. If your reel's installed on your pole, like mine is, you're gonna need a standard size flathead. And then #0 Phillips screwdriver. I also have a pair of pliers to take the nut off for the handle if needed. Super glue, and I'll show you why. You don't always need it, but I always have it on the table. I use just the regular lube that comes with the reels, and then some blue Loctite. So let's get going. I like to put these plates on the back of my trolling reels for peace of mind. When you buy a Cold Water Series reel, they come with them. I just put them on. Don't want to have it loosen off the rod and rip up to your eye and possibly snap the line and lose a couple $100 reel. And remember, when you store your rods, I always back the drags all the way off. Drags are always backed off. Saves on the compression of the washers. This is an anti-turn screw. Yep, so that's on tight. These probably aren't the right pliers for this, but that's what I had close. When I put them on, I just put back on hand tight. It's not going anywhere. Once that screws in, this nut will not come unturned. Do not lose this clear washer right here. Some guys don't like to put them back on. I do. These tabs are up on your drag. Go between your drag and your reel. So for that super glue, you can see inside here, there is a little tab right here, and mine came off. See that? This one's actually broke. So I'll have to replace that, but I'll put it back together. It's pretty easy. It goes right on here. So if yours isn't broke, this usually comes off and it's just pressed on. I just put a little dab of super glue on there, keep it in. But mine is clearly broke off. So we're gonna do one of those ordered. Not a big deal. No harm, no foul. It's just a clicker. All right. Keep in mind how your washers are positioned. As you can see on there, they're opposite each other. There's a little gap on this side. That's to allow for your compression and a little resistance. I was very nervous when I started doing these. I ordered 6 drag kits for these size reels, and I actually acquired some Okuma Classics. When I bought some rods, the guy was throwing them away, and I said, hey, if you don't mind, I'll take them instead of going to waste. He's like, yeah. He's like, drags don't work. Tend to lose a lot of fish with them because you got to tighten the drags down. So I put drags in them, and they seem to work amazing. I highly, highly, highly recommend these Drag Master drags. So this pulls apart. I set that aside for now. Now you got this. So first thing I do, a lot of guys put pliers on here. I don't see a need to. I just put the handle back on. Loosen that up. As you can see, they had some blue Loctite on there. That's where the Loctite goes. When you're done, there's 2 spots. These 3 little screws. You gotta put a little pressure, down pressure when you're taking these off. There's a screwdriver seems to want to slip. Pull these out. This is the other spot where we put a little bit of Loctite. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. I don't know. Do not lose that little washer right there. That is very important. I will clean all this grease and stuff off of this before I assemble anything. I do not re-grease my stuff when I put it back in. I just put a little bit of that clear fluid on there. Some guys, I was watching videos to do this, and a lot of guys had springs in theirs. None of mine have springs, so I don't know which ones have the springs in them. But set that aside. I take this off, set that aside, just the way it came off. I pull this little bushing out, put it back in here, because I forgot it not once but twice on other reels I was doing, and you have to take the reel completely apart to put it back in. Another bushing. Here's where the drags sit. Dump mine upside down. Pull that washer off. I clean everything off. Be very mindful of that brass or copper bushing and the washer underneath it. Do not lose that either. It will fall off sometime during this video. I guarantee it, no matter how hard I try not to get it to fall off. I just clean all this grease off. Here's one. I don't worry about the grease that's inside the gears themselves. That stuff can stay in there. I just am worried about all this gunk and grime that goes on your flat surfaces where your plates go for your drag system. I had lost a couple pretty good sized fish this summertime because of these drags. It's a tough year for me this year, so don't want to take chances next year. So if you notice, this is the bottom plate. It's much thinner than the top plate. So if you do get them mixed up, top plate goes on top, and then this one goes in the middle. I clean everything off before I reassemble anything. I'll even clean this guy off. Be careful for that washer's not sitting on there. I did clean one off earlier this week. That had a washer on there and it was gone. So I had to go to the hardware store. And good thing my hardware store in town here, small town, has pretty much all the useless hardware you need. And they had that piece, or one close to it, very, very close to it. So I just clean it off around the throat of this gear and the top, maybe a little bit inside. I don't worry about anything inside these gears themselves. Well, maybe that looks like a little dirt in there. But I'll make sure there's no dirt, no crud. This is the only one that I don't clean off. I leave that grease right where it sits on that one. Well, now it's time to reassemble. Grab your Drag Master bag. Pull out your carbon fiber or fiber, whatever these things are. You'll notice there's two of the same. One big hole, one little hole. Little hole goes on first. This piece goes on. Now the big hole goes on. Thin washer. Little hole. Washer with tabs. Get that lined up. Carbon fiber, or whatever that is. What is that even? Yeah, carbon fiber drag reel. Now I always do it so the beveled edges up. So when they stamp these washers out, the stamp actually comes down and pushes down. This is the top side. And that bottom side's a nice, smooth, flat edge. Right, wrong, or otherwise, I don't know. I just, I do it that way. Make sure you get this cleaned out. A lot of grease in here. So if you want to add grease after you get it all reassembled, this is the grease fitting right here. You put your grease right in there. So, bushing needs to go back in. We do not want to forget about that guy. All right, time to assemble. It's very, very important to keep these two pieces tight together. So I laid in flat, finger on the back side. And once you get it locked in that way, now it's good. It's not going to fall apart. I'm surprised this hasn't come off. I don't know if you can see this, but there's two flats on that little bushing right there. They have to run vertically this way because they will line up with the two flats that are in the back side of this. As you can see, there's a flat there and a flat there. The first time I did it, I struggled to get it in. I didn't realize why until I took it apart and seen that. So just keep notice of that. Put our springs on. Put our anti-reverse dealio here on. If I can get it in there. That domed part goes up because it catches in the cover to lock it in place. There's the hole. So what that does is allows you to reel this way, and as soon as you stop reeling, it catches. Reel, catch, reel, catch. That's why I leave a little bit of grease on there. Next piece is in here. Do not forget your springs that go behind there. Very important. This piece can only go on one way. If you put it on backwards, it doesn't line up. It's crooked. So, one way. Now the fun part, putting these little screws back in. I have a magnetic screwdriver, but it doesn't stick to these stainless steel screws. Oh, we gotta get some. We'll put some Loctite on this one. So when I do Loctite, I don't like touching the screw to this. I just do a drop on my plastic. That is all you need. Hold that down. Just get a little bit of Loctite on there. Doesn't take much. So this screw does not tighten down all the way. It comes up to a pretty much a stop, so this can move freely. All this does is push this forward to engage your anti-reverse. It stops it, so your spool can free spool. I get it down, and I just push a lot of pressure down. Just give it a little bit extra turn. That's all you need. It's not going anywhere. Now I take the grease that comes with the reel, oil, lube, and put a drop here, 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 here. Don't ask me why I do this. I don't know, maybe peace of mind. One here, one there. It's, I don't know, probably just a peace of mind. Do I need it? Probably not. So that's what I do. You guys can do whatever you want with your reels. That's how I do it. All right, time to put the cover back on. So the first screws I put in, oh, make sure this is lined up. The flats. Looks good. First screws I put in are the 3 that hold the cover down, and then I go for the the handle screw. There it is. So you heard it click and it pops in. So you can see it's in there because that's centered in the hole and it doesn't wiggle around. It doesn't come out of that hole. So we're good there. The 2 screws with the fatter heads, they go here. Just snug them down. You don't need to go any more than snug. Now this is the screw that gets it a Loctite on it. Make sure that this washer is in there. So we get a little Loctite on this one. This is blue Loctite, so you can remove it. Just holds the screw in. So now this one, you don't need the handle on this particular reel to hold that because it's actually the anti-drag or anti-free spool. You just tight and then just a little, lots of pressure and just a little more. That's it. That's all you need. So we're done in here. I see a little grease I gotta get off here. That's done. Drags are done. So don't forget your bushing. That goes in first. And this plastic thing that pushes against it, that goes on next. I like to put that on there because I tend to forget. Now we can put the reel back together. Make sure the shaft is in, seated where it needs to go. This has 2 flats on it. It lines up with these 2 flats down here. That I don't worry about until you get locked on the reel. I just kind of spin the spool a little bit. There, it's in. All right, I put the front screws in first and I tighten them down like a car tire. So a star pattern. Just get them down a little bit. I usually just give them just a ugga-dugga, if you will, just a little oomph. You don't want to strip anything out. This stuff's all cast. Then we'll go back through and just cinch them down. Tight. 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 Two baby screws in the back. And that piece that was snapped off in my star drag, it doesn't hurt the functionality of the reel. It's just a clicker, so you know you're tightening it or loosening it. All right, so that's that. Let's put this back on. Whoops, almost forgot. Washers. Now these are the same washers, but they put them in opposite ways. So I'll put this side down first. It's curved. The curved part is down. And this one I'll put the curved part up. Star. Oops. Some guys don't like to put this back on there, but I'll put this back in. Little plastic washer. Okay. Drag. So this one won't click. It's all that piece. It's all that broken piece does. Is clicks. So this one won't click, but it still has drag. Smooth. Handle. Ears up on the outsides. Oops, I put that in the wrong way. Ears up. Plastic washer. In the beginning I had to use a screwdriver, but so I'll just back it off just a little bit so that lines up with the slot right. Oh, lines up with the slot right there. There it is. Pretty simple. Do not be afraid to tackle this at your house, by yourself, whatever. So my next step that I do, and this is just things that I do, I will write 26 on here until I get some labels to label it. 26. That is the year that I changed the drags out on this reel. I don't do all my reels every year because I don't buy new reels. I buy new reels every so often. But I bought a bunch of used ones last year on the old Facebook Marketplace. Got super good deals. So for these 55 series, right from this place I got them from, Tuna Reel Troubles. Look them up. They have these. What were they? For the classics were $10 a piece. For the 55 series, they were $15 a piece. For 15 bucks to put in your reels for fishing to help you land more fish. I'm not gonna say catch. I'm gonna say land. You know, we got how many thousands of dollars in baits and equipment and boats and gas and time away from the family and work and everything else. What's 15 bucks to put in your reel in, I don't know, 20 minutes of your time? To me, it's well worth the time. And it's about 4 degrees here in Wisconsin today, so I figured this is a great time to tackle this stuff. I live in southeast Wisconsin. The lakes have enough ice to fish, but not enough ice for me to fish. I like to take the four-wheeler out. I'm not much of a walking guy anymore. I take the four-wheeler out with the kids. Go run tip-ups and everything. That's my extent to the ice fishing. But again, I put these plates on the back. Peace of mind for me. I fish with a lot of people, different people all the time. A lot of my kids go with me. I have a 10-year-old girl that goes. My almost 16-year-old son, he likes to come with too. And kids don't check the handles, check the reels. I check them every morning. I always check this every morning before I set the rod out. But when other people are setting rods out, it's part of fishing. I don't want to lose, you know, these rods are a couple $100. You get them brand new. So, one last thing, I don't know if I mentioned it in the beginning of this, but whenever you store your reels long term, I don't care if I'm storing my reels overnight, my drags get backed all the way off. I have no drag tension on my reels. Wind them up by hand, leave the clickers on, and I'll just store them. I just store them right in my basement rafters, upside down, until I need them again. I don't know if the fish are going to be deep one day or shallow one day. So we have nice thing about trolling is you have a lot of different equipment, a lot of different depths for my My rods, I got, this is a 225, 45-pound copper. I run 35-pound coppers. I also like to run steel. Braided steel is probably my go-to from here on out as soon as my coppers start twisting up, breaking, kinking, especially fishing with new people. It's easier to keep the steels, the 45-pound steel, ready to go. So please like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel. I will be doing showing you guys how I tie salmon flies. I just got some new materials in this afternoon. Actually, I think it was yesterday it came. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Get some of those fly tying videos out. And to tell you the truth, I have no idea what I'm really doing. I just see the colors that people are using, people tell me what they're using, and just try to match it. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'll help you guys out, show you what I do. Probably what not to do is